So I was at Vegas for a conference, and it was a hypnosis conference. So it was basically an entire group of people who engage in hypnosis in one form or another, and it's a big social gathering. So naturally, I see many different types of people. Right? Some people are a lot more extroverted than others. Some people are more introverted than others. Right? So you can kind of so I went to this pool party, right? And then I stayed there for like 2-3 hours. And as an observer, I can see that regardless of whether you are extroverted or introverted, the general trend is that people have a social battery, right? And over time, you can see that the energy of the entire venue just slowly going down because everyone is getting tired, regardless of extroversion or introversion. Die down. They get tired of putting on the social face. And so the extroverted people get tired in groups, and the introverted people get tired alone. And they're just kind of like floating in the pool, and everyone's just kind of like to themselves, right? And the more time goes on, people just go to their rooms, and but that's a little bit different from me, and this is a kind of a feedback that I've gotten over my experience, and it's that, wow, Billy, you're really the same. Like, I thought you would be a little bit different because I've that's been my experience when I'm talking to you online versus now, but you're very much the same. And that's by design, right? Because when I have to put on a face and when I have to put on a show, it drains me too. Because why? I'm trying to do a good job, right? When I'm trying to do a good job, that expends energy. And moreover, my idea of me doing a good social job is not necessarily the ideal, the best, the written rule of this is how to be really social. This means I think I'm being social. I think I'm putting on a good, pretty face. And then I see other people aren't really receptive to it. Then, if I'm still trying to do a good job, then I need to be on real time, on the fly. I need to be figuring out what I'm doing wrong, and I need to adjust it, right? So basically, my entire demeanor, my entire how I act gets determined by other people. And moreover, especially in a conference setting like this, there are lots of other people, right? So constantly having to kind of switch faces, this takes up a lot of your energy. So why am I talking about my conference experience? It's because it also applies to the youth. If you are young, you're in high school or college, or if you're in your early 20s, right? You mostly meet people during big social gatherings, and you deepen those relationships with like friends gathering and things like that, right? But you may be asking yourself, but what's the best way to act in these situations? How do I become more social? So I want to give you this is kind of an in-depth discussion, but I want to give you an overview of how to basically be yourself. And now, you can be yourself. And that you might not think that it's the best way to be. But today I want to give you some contrasting examples to ultimately convince you the best way to be you. The best way to be in social situation is to be you, even if you are quiet, and even if you are introverted, and even if you are kind of antisocial. So, antisocial in the kind of a common social nuance way, not the DSM 4 or 5 version of it, which I've gotten a comment about before. So I will bring up my notepad. We typically think that when you are so this is you, and then these are other people. In order to be successful in a social environment, we have to be making engagements. We have to be doing these things, right? And that's, you know what? If you really look at it from a probability kind of a perspective, This makes sense. Of course, you are more likely to form relationships this way, right? Because you are more proactive about it. So, you can go the extroverted way, right? And talk to a lot of people. And you can also kind of go retreat, right? But people naturally have a disposition for how they want to be in social, especially social situations where there's a lot of new people. And now it's important to know where your natural disposition is. You can be naturally extroverted, you can be naturally introverted, and that's fine. Now, here's what happens when you try to be a certain way. We may have our best intentions, right? And we may think that we are too shy, therefore we must be more extroverted. And that in that way, we may think that being extroverted is really good. But social situations is always you giving someone communication and you also receiving communication, right? That's what talking and that's what, like, communication basically is. There's a from party and a to party. Now, imagine this. You're here and you just are having a pretty good time by yourself, and then this person comes to you and then just goes on and on and on and on and on about you, right? And they're like, making little jabs and they're being sarcastic, and then they're trying to, yeah, like be super like abrasive, or they talk a lot, or they talk too much, or they have no sense of boundaries, so they start like trauma dumping on you or whatever, right? So in this way, from the receiving side, talking with an extroverted person may feel pretty annoying, right? But at the same time, when someone approaches you and are like super friendly and very cordial and also has a really great sense of like very fluid and talking really like topic to topic, discussing a lot of different things, that can be a very fun experience, right? Now, therefore, we strive to be those like smooth talking people. But the thing is, another person may find the same annoying person to be that kind of charming. Right? And another person may find your version of charming kind of boring. Oh yeah, we can just sit here and talk about like, yeah, like surface level topics or whatever. No, I just want to get fucking wasted with you, bro. Like, come on, let's get shots and let's just like get rowdy and like, let's go to the DJ, and some people have a natural preference for that. So, it's important to recognize that your behavior can be interpreted many different ways. But what makes it good? What makes it bad? There's no such thing. It's just a different take, right? So, ideally, it's nice to form relationships that are with people who are kind of similar vibe as you, right? So, one way of forming nice social relationship is like people who are on the same kind of a frequency and wavelength with you. So, I'm naturally kind of introverted. You're also kind of naturally introverted, and then we kind of hang together, and we're physically together, but we're doing our own things, and then that's like really comfortable for the both of us, right? So that can be one way of vibing. Another way of vibing is that I can be an extroverted person and I happen to be really good at respecting your space. So I will always invite you to things and I will always want to engage with you. And because we're so like compatible, we're in the kind of a same frequency. We like the same things just in a different way and something like that. So I can feel comfortable enough to be more myself around you, but it doesn't mean that I'm gonna go do that with everyone else, right? So there are ways you can hang out with different kind of verted types of people. Going back to we just discussed only the extroverted part, right? Okay, so what if I go to a party and I'm introverted? Now you might be thinking, man, this person is at this party, doesn't like, well, why are they just there alone? Why are they just looking at their phone? Why are they not doing anything? So we typically have this idea about introverted people, right? So we tend to think that's bad. But also, what tends to happen is like when you're just kind of like there's too much going on and you need that kind of a quiet space. You see someone in the corner, just kind of there, and they're with their drink, and then they're just in there. It's kind of comforting to just go there and just kind of congregate there, right? You don't need to talk. You can just catch a glance and say hi, but this just kind of starts forming that like chill vibe zone, right? Where people are just doing their own thing, but they take a moment to breathe, or I don't know, they just like observing people from there. So, what I'm trying to tell you is that both introverted and extroverted can be charming or very annoying. So, if both can be charming or annoying, and it's up to other people how to tell, like, what to decide whether you are annoying or not, whether you are really fun in a social environment or not. The more you try to fit other people's like demands about what is cool to them, the more you have to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Now, this is what makes social encounters so draining, so that next time a meetup happens, you just don't want to go. And this is the same for everything. Like, this is what introduces burnout, right? You can pursue a passion and you can try to do a really good job at your hobby. And you can do that by grinding, and you can do that by exerting yourself. And you may get your goal, but you're never gonna want to do it again. So, I focus a lot on sustained effort, right? I focus a lot on enjoying the things that you enjoy for a prolonged amount of time, because it doesn't expend effort. And in order to do that in a social environment, you gotta understand that it's the best way to be is to be you. Because, again, introverted, extroverted, they both have their ups and downs. And how people perceive that up and down is not up to you. So the more you try to fit in, the tougher things become in your energy tank. And now, what's the natural follow-up to that? Then what if I'm missing out by not really engaging in conversations? And this is something that happens a lot during networking events, right? If you're just kind of there at a networking event, then you might be like, oh man, like I'm wasting my time, so I should be, and that's what kind of turns people off to networking events, right? And so I want to tell you, again, that's the reason why I covered the compatible frequency. It's okay to be naturally introverted in networking situations. Why? Because your calm presence of mind, your comfortableness in being in your own skin in networking events alone, it may lead other people to be attracted by that. It may lead similar people to feel more comfortable around you. And just by being yourself, you still have the possibility of attracting really, really good people. Or I should say, people who are good for you. But then you might be thinking, there's these persons that I'm not interacting because of my aloofness. Because I'm not making proactive things, I'm only getting to meet people who are coming to me. And isn't that bad? You might think that's bad. But who says these people are all like really good for you? And moreover, who says that if you don't make these connections today, they're never gonna happen? There's more networking events to go to, right? So, because in this networking event number 1, you only meet like 2 people. And that's okay, right? Because why? This networking event wasn't that tough for you. It was comfortable for you because you were just being yourself. And so guess what? Networking event number 2 happens. You already know 2 people, but let's say this is like a same field. So you kind of, it's a mixer of same industry, right? Good. So now, some people here may have noticed you from before, and then now they may be coming up to you. Or who cares? They may be not. And that's not bad, right? Again, you're comfortable being you here. Networking event 3, networking event 4, networking event 5. And guess what? Because this isn't taxing on you, you get to show up a lot. And when you naturally show up a lot, you get more recognized because you're kind of that constant in the picture, right? And that's how things can change. We typically tend to think in order to get the big things that we want, we need to expend a lot of effort. We need to go out of our comfort zone because we're so used to that kind of risk-reward structure. So here's my relative magnitude as a human being. This is what I want. We think that we need to expend this much energy. And what I'm trying to say to you is you can be yourself. And you have this much thing going on, right? But you never know when the next person who comes to you and they just add this much to your life. And now it's just this little much, right? And that's a lot more manageable than this big chunk right here. And then you, over time, you meet another person who can give you just this much. And again, you may encounter another person over time who adds this much to your life. And what I'm saying is, the journey to this big block, the journey to this big thing that you want, may be in really negligible small steps. All you're doing is live your life with small intentions, and they roll up and they add up to this great thing in your life. Now, of course, is it possible for us to really apply ourselves and get this big thing? Yeah. And sometimes we get lucky. And we can sometimes get a quantum jump from going here to here in one step. So what's important is we don't know. And in order for us to, either way, whether it be big changes or small changes, in order for us to progress to the ideas that we want, all we have to do is keep moving forward. But is it easier to move forward with lots of expectations and lots of stress? Or is it easier to move forward when things are so easy? And you don't have to be anything. It's just so much easier when you just walk step by step and no stress. You don't need to be anybody else but you. It's easy. And I hope you try this kind of a mindset on before you go to the next networking event. Because why? When you go without being mentally committed and prepared, what kind of a day, what kind of a night, what kind of an event you're gonna have, chances are when the stimulus comes in, you're gonna have your natural reaction, the reaction that you're used to, right? And you're gonna become a byproduct of the things that happen to you on the fly. consider these ideas before you go to the next networking event. Be you, because even when you're you, things can happen. Even when you miss out, because you're not tired, because you're not stressed, you can take the next chance. And even if you miss one chance forever, there's nothing that guarantees that chance would have been 100% good for you. You just take the chances that get to you, you just capitalize on the opportunities that land on your lap, and you get to realize that, hey, this is easy. I didn't have to do anything. Try that flowing kind of a mindset again before your next networking event.